right now. Now, these are both some major moves in these early days, these early stages of the 2026 campaign.
That's right, and this is a very good opportunity to bring in our panel this week. Mark Rountree, Republican strategist and pollster. He's also the founder of Landmark Communications and a veteran of Georgia elections and campaigns. Democratic strategist Howard Franklin. He's worked on campaigns throughout the Southeast, including the 2021 campaign for Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens. He now leads the consulting firm Ohio River South. And Greg Bluestein, AJC political reporter and author, also a contributor to MSNBC and NBC News. Let's start with this, the early nature of people getting into the campaigns. We just heard from Jason Estevez. We know that Keisha Lance Bottoms has said that she wants to run. We also know that Bill Cowsert, the state senator, putting his hat in the race for attorney general. Is it normal for people to announce this early?
Well, no one's gotten in earlier than Attorney General Chris Carr for governor. He got in weeks after the November election.
Had you ever seen anything like that? Have any of you ever seen anything like that?
I hadn't.
Not by major candidates.
Yeah, earliest on record, I would say, for the major campaigns, for sure.
But I mean, look, this is going to be an expensive, costly race for all Georgia statewide races, but particularly the governor's race and the U.S. Senate race that we're still waiting for movement on. And it's going to be, it's going to require that operation, that organization really early. So these candidates are setting the tone right now.
How competitive is this Democratic field going to be through the primary? Not talking general election, we're talking just through the primary.
I mean, only time will tell. I think Jason was smart to get in early. He knows he's had a meaningful political career, but to run statewide, Georgia's gotten bigger, it's gotten even more complicated to run and to win a primary. And obviously, as Greg mentioned, it's gotten even more expensive. So getting in early makes sense. I think a lot of folks are looking at this race. They're looking at the chaos that Senator Estevez mentioned and wondering whether or not President Trump and Elon Musk and others are going to present an opening and make for a more competitive general election. I think that's really the wait and see that a lot of folks have considered, but he said he wanted to do this. I've been talking to him for months. He's been planning to do it, and once the session was done, he was ready to jump in.
And Mark, I'd like to get your thoughts on the other side, because as Greg mentioned, I mean, Chris Carr, super early. Is it a money thing? Is he just trying to get ahead?
It was all about the funding because candidates who are elected to state office are not allowed to raise money during the legislative session. So he was trying to raise as much money as possible in November and December. So that's why there's now this sudden spur of people announcing to run, because they couldn't raise money during the legislative session. I do think Michael Thurman is a potential candidate to potentially run for a major statewide office still.
Could Stacey Abrams be somebody who jumps in as well? Greg, I know you've covered her campaigns for a long time at Georgia now. She's said to at least not have ruled out another run for governor yet.
Zach, she's the one Democrat who does not need to get in early. She could wait until, early next year. Because
but if she waits, that could impact others like State Senator Estevez who are in early, right?
And that's why it's so important for any candidate who gets in now on the Democratic side to show momentum, to show good fundraising, to show organization, to have a good message, because Stacey Abrams is out there waiting. I don't know if she wants to run or not, but the specter of Stacey Abrams, someone who could instantly bring high name recognition, fundraising ability, the fact that she's run statewide twice before, the fact that she can command state and national media attention with the snap of fingers, means that the candidates who do get in now have to show a really strong early start.
I do think the early entrants into the race are going to be working to show their campaign chops and bona fides. They're going to try to raise money early, shore up political support, because if she does decide not to run, all those accoutrements and attributes she has to deploy to a race as a candidate, she could also deploy in support of the right candidate or the eventual nominee.
Another person who doesn't have to come in early, Governor Kemp, if he announces.
Another one is potentially, on the Republican side, Marjorie Taylor Greene. She has universal name recognition. She polls at about 40% in a Republican primary, way 30 points ahead of the next closest competitor. So she could, for Senate or governor, make a decision to do something later than others.
On that moment, we're going to take a pause. We will see you guys on the other side of the commercial break.
Well, there is a very old saying, all politics is local. And we are seeing that a lot during this off year for elections.
That's right. So Georgia Senate Democrats, they want to fire up their base by attacking President Trump's policies. And on Wednesday, a group of state senators, they called reporters to the Capitol to lay out plans to fight back against what they say is anti-constitutional behavior by the Trump administration. Well, the main talking points, rather, were tariffs and immigration. They mentioned a specific case, Maryland man Kilmar Abrego Garcia, whose removal from the United States is now a flashpoint in the current immigration debate. The Senate Minority Leader says the Trump administration is showing a pattern of defying judges.
It's not difficult to say that you believe judges' orders ought to be followed. I'm a lawyer. I get orders all the time that I don't like. My client gets orders all the time that they don't like. And I say, it's a judge's order. We have to follow it. That's at a low level. And when you start talking about you represent the United States government and you're not following judges' orders, or you talk about the judges ought to be impeached because you don't like their decision, this is unprecedented, quite frankly.
So that's what we're hearing from Democrats. Here's what state Republicans had to say. Party Chair Josh McCoon, he said, quote, "These are the same people who, along with President Biden, presided over the greatest loss of personal and constitutional freedom in recent memory in the name of COVID lockdowns. So it is difficult to stomach these crocodile tears from Georgia Democrats who only seem to care about making sure China is able to dominate the world and that America is left unable to defend itself from an onslaught of illegal alien invaders." Interesting tack by the state Democrats. Greg, I want to go to you because you wrote about this. We're seeing a collision of state and national politics here.
Yeah, it wasn't terribly long ago that state Democrats tried to steer clear of national politics. Now in the Trump era, that's been transformed. In Zach's interview with State Senator Jason Estevez, you heard him say chaos of Donald Trump's administration. So much of what happens in 2026 in Georgia depends on the popularity of President Donald Trump and his agenda.
Ossoff is not really very popular as a U.S. Senator. In fact, Kemp, there is no public poll that shows Ossoff ahead of Governor Kemp. If Governor Kemp runs for that, it's probably going to be a pickup for the Republicans.
Howard, I bet you have a response to that.
Is that an uphill battle for Ossoff?
I mean, we're so far from, I know we're looking at this, 2 years.
It feels closer than it is in some ways.
Objects in the rearview mirror do appear
yeah.
closer than they actually are. But that to say, I think it'd be a spirited challenge. I think obviously the governor is a popular politician. He's had a positive and a successful run as governor so far. But I do think that this would be a spirited fight. I think Jon Ossoff has shown himself to be very successful as a bipartisan lawmaker. He's got a ton of successes underneath his belt, and he's a very spirited campaigner. I think he'd actually present a really tough challenge.
No public poll shows Ossoff gathering more than 42% of the vote right now. 42 is a pretty low bottom to start your campaign. But of course, you're correct, Howard.
Yeah,
it is a long way to the election. We all get that, but it's just as long for the governor. And
if we decided,
he's pretty strong.
If we decided elections by what the polls say, a lot of folks that are elected today wouldn't be elected.
Can I ask a point here?
Trump.
We are talking about this hypothetical scenario where if Governor Kemp does get into the Senate race, that's what you're talking about, this polling situation.
Right.
If Governor Kemp does not get in, if all the voices from inside the state party and inside the Republican Party in D.C., the power brokers all across the country, they're saying, hey, Governor Kemp, please get into this race. If he says no, thank you, then what happens to the Republican
virtually
field? Is that going to be a wide open competitive primary?
Virtually the only person that does not want Kemp to run right now seems to be Kemp, and maybe his wife, we'll see. But I mean, everybody else on the center-right side of things is kind of hoping he runs for it. But the other candidates are not as strong. Marjorie Taylor Greene could run for that. She comes with additional baggage that he would not have. Congressman Buddy Carter might be a candidate for U.S. Senate. Congressman Mike Collins. We have polled that Senate race, by the way, and Collins does come in barely in. If Taylor and Kemp don't run, the next one in line is Congressman Collins.
Greg, I want to ask you this because we saw at Ossoff's town hall, it's something, and I saw it also at Nikema Williams' town hall, which you were at as well. They're frustrated. Yeah. They're saying, why can't you do more?
Yeah, we're seeing Democrats in particular upset that fellow Democrats aren't taking a more confrontational approach. Jon Ossoff at that town hall just a couple days ago, he said, look, I can't push a magic button. There's not some secret senatorial tool that I can do to erase what Donald Trump has done. But they are under pressure to show that they are fighting back. And Democratic voters want, in many senses, a more confrontational, aggressive approach to Donald Trump right now.
You even had Ossoff openly saying in what we just saw that he would support impeachment when there's not even a charge for him to do so. He just generically supports impeachment. I think they're frustrated. I think they're very frustrated by the success and the absolute steamroller that the Trump administration has
Howard,
done
what
in the
did
first
you
100
Yeah, I'll
days.
just say no charge, only because we know we don't have control of either of the chambers. But I think we just are in a litany of different things, disobeying orders from federal judges for starters that would probably qualify for impeachment. I don't think Democrats have figured this out. I think they're, half of the party, as we heard from Senator Estevez, wants one thing and the other half wants another. It's going to take some time for this to shake out. We're not even at 100 days yet for this presidency. But I think between the two things happening, both Trump's agenda coming to fruition, as well as Democrats getting their act together, we will see a spirited race next year.
So much to talk about each week. We appreciate you all being here.
Thank you, guys.
So very much. We will be right back after this.